Hi, this is Tara Nair, and today we're going to talk about how to knit Continental style. I recommend this for those that are crocheters and learning to do this because you're used to holding it with your left hand and holding your yarn with your left hand. But I also recommend learning how to do this because it is a very fast way, once you learn the process, to knit. So the first thing that you want to do is once you get all of your stitches cast on, is the first thing about Continental is you're going to hold your yarn in your left hand as well as your left needle. And the way that I like, there's several ways to hold your yarn. You'll figure it out what works for you, but the idea is to keep it nice and tight in your hand when you're working. So for me, I will just do a quick wrap around my pinky and back up underneath my index finger, just like this. And I keep everything held tight like this and hold it with my fingers and hold my needles like this with my thumb and my 3 fingers here. A lot of people like to wrap their yarn around their pinky, back up through their ring finger and their middle finger, and then grab it with their pointer finger just like this and hold it again in the palm of your hand. I usually rest it against my middle finger and hold it with my thumb, and I have it tight. Again, the purpose is to have your yarn held taut when you're working with your needle on your left hand, okay? So just find what works best for you. I'm going to do that again as far as where you're going to hold it. I wrap it around my pinky and then I come back. I close my fingers just like this. I come back up underneath my index finger just like this, and then I hold it in my palm with my middle finger and my thumb holding the knitting needle. I use my fingers to move my stitches on my knitting needle, and your fingers become tools. So it's not, there is no set way in knitting and holding things that works for you. You need to find what works for you when you're starting this process and how it feels comfortable in your hands. So like I said, around my pinky, back up underneath my index, I'm going to hold my knitting needle just comfortably in the palm of my hand and close my hand around it with my thumb and my index finger holding the yarn and the knitting needle. And then my right hand is going to kind of come in, and we're going to start with, you go this first loop. Now every time you do a row, this first loop gets a little bit silly, so just don't be afraid if it's going to always want to kind of fall off, and the same with the last loop when knitting. So you're just going to use your fingers to hold everything and move things around. So I'm going to take my right hand needle and I'm going to slide it up under, and as you can see where that kind of meets underneath the yarn, where the yarn meets underneath, and I get it right inside that loop so you can see, and I go to the back of the knitting needle, and then I'm going to actually grab the yarn. Now a lot of people, I've used this several times in classes, so I like to say grab the yarn and pull it to the front. Some people like to say throw your needle over the top of the yarn and pull it to the front. Whichever verbiage you would like to use, you are going to always go over the yarn, not under the yarn. Over the yarn and pull it to the front. Again, over the yarn. Sometimes you're having to move your index finger to manipulate the yarn, however you need it, but you're going to take that right hand needle over that yarn and scoop it and pull it to the front just like this. So now that stitch is sitting on your right hand needle, which means you can slide the other stitch off of the needle, and now you've created and knit one stitch to your right hand needle. You're always going to be working, your working yarn is in your left hand, always moving to your right hand. Okay, so we're gonna do that again. Under that first stitch, or under the stitch, that yarn that's going here to the right hand side, to the back, I'm gonna grab or throw my needle over the top of the yarn and pull it to the front and then slide it off. One more time. Through to the back, over the top, pull it to the front, slide it off. And again, you guys see me using my finger, my index finger, pushing that other needle down and pulling it off. Then I hold it here on my needle so it's not falling off. Try that again. Under that loop, over the top, and grab the yarn, pulling it to the front of my work and sliding it off my needle. And we're going to keep going to the very end. Under, grab my yarn, pull it to the back. There's not a lot of movement in this particular type of Continental stitching, and that's why it's so fast when you get it, is that there's not a lot of movement. Under, grab the yarn, pull it to the front, slide it off. Under, grab the yarn, pull it to the front, slide it off. Under, grab the yarn, pull it off. Under, grab the yarn, pull it to the front, slide it off. I got two more. I'm going to slow it down here in just a second. Don't get discouraged. You've got this. All right, so the next thing you're going to do is you always take, now all my stitches are on my right hand. Now I need to move it to my left hand again to start the next row. And so now I've got it in my left hand, and this is one of the biggest mistakes that beginners make. See how the yarn is sitting right here and it's going over? Well, I need my yarn to the back, right? So they pull their yarn to the back, and what has happened? We get two looking stitches on the front, and guess what ends up happening too? You knit both of those, and now you're adding stitches, and so now your piece is gonna go like this. So just make sure when you move that working needle back to your left hand, actually go ahead and pull your work down. Go ahead and pull everything down, including that working yarn. Pull it down so it's in front and everything looks good, and you have all your stitches in alignment just like this. Then you're going to take your yarn and bring it to the back of your piece. So now you only have one stitch, not two. So bring it to you're going to go under to the back, not over into the back. Okay, and then we are going to, again, I wrap that around my pinky. I come back up and grab it with my index finger. I set my entire piece of my working needles in my left hand, holding it with my thumb. I take my right hand needle and I'm ready to go. I'm going to slide that first stitch going from front to back under the yarn. I'm going to throw my needle over the top of the yarn or grab my yarn, and I'm going to pull it to the front of the work, and I'm going to slide that first stitch off my needle. And that is how you knit Continental style, ladies and gents. If you have any questions, let me know.